नमस्कार. या हेडॉनच्या खासा एपिसोडात तुमकां सगळ्यांक येवकार. आज आमचे बरोबर असे गेस्ट आसात जांच्या घराचेर फाटल्या सप्तकाक रेड पडली आणि ती रेड कित्याक पडली आणि तांची सारक्या कितल्याशाच जाणांचेर देशभर रेडी कित्याक पडल्यो हे सांगपाचो प्रयत्न पुलीस करतात, पण अजून पर्यंत ते पुराय देशाक कन्विन्सिंग उत्तर दिवपाक शकले नात. आमचे बरोबर आसात आज गोवा इन्स्टिट्यूट ऑफ मॅनेजमेंटाचे प्रोफेसर आणि नामनेचे लेखक Professor Anand Teltumbde, sir. Welcome to the show. I'll start with the main question that everybody is asking, everybody is debating. Are you an urban Naxal? And how do you look at that phrase?
I would ask you a counter question. Do I look like one? You see, you have to consider my background, and by now I think it is in public. Much of that I did. As a matter of fact, whatever I have done is in public. Even my mobile number, even my email, everything is in public. So just to brief you, I'm an engineer, I'm an alumnus of prestigious IIM Ahmedabad. I did my doctorate in a very frontier kind of science in cybernetic modeling. Only few people in Asia Pacific did dabble in this subject. Okay, I have been awarded for my work the honorary doctorate by a university. Okay, this is a very unusual kind of thing for a person who has spent entire life in the corporate world. I have risen to be executive director of Bharat Petroleum. Then I was the CEO, the highest possible post anybody could aspire to, of a holding company. There were 5 companies underneath me. Okay, I was a director on many of the companies. Then thereafter, this activism actually has been integral with my academics. Right from the student days, I was a student leader, and then after coming out of the university, then naturally I drifted toward democratic rights organization, been associated with that, and in conjunction with that, then I have written so many things. Now, so many things include something like 26 books, literally thousands of articles, and they're all available in all Indian languages as well as foreign languages. So can such a person be implicated as urban Naxalite? Can it be linked with this thing? I've been openly critical about the anti-people policies of government, not this government, the previous government also, all through, and I have actually dissected everything. And what I write is not a rhetorical, it is properly with academic discipline, with referencing and all that thing. My writing should be seen. My economic political weekly I run a column there, longest running column perhaps in APW's history, as margins pick, and I take cudgels for people.
Tell me, sir, what do you make of that phrase when an intellectual like you hears that phrase, the coinage of that phrase, urban Naxal? How do you decipher it?
It's a very funny term, urban Naxal. Urban Naxal, that probably encompasses anybody who speaks against the government or the policies of the government. So potentially everybody, every critic, every intellectual whose role is to sort of question the government becomes an urban Naxal. It is as good as that. It's very, very mischievous term. There can't be such kind of thing. Nobody, I do not know anything about the Maoist network, etc. I don't have any interest. I have been rather critical about the violence they do. And there are book length things I have written. There was a book in 2005 that was published, Anti-Imperialism and Annihilation of Caste, wherein I have directly criticized such kinds of things. So it's a very malafide on part of the government to promote such kinds of terminology and implicate innocent people who have been doing yeoman service to the public.
So how was that day, the day when the raid took place? You were not in Goa.
Yeah.
You came to know about it through a phone call. And what did they actually find in your house?
Fortunately, I do not know. Fortunately, I must say, my wife had gone 3-4 days before, as my daughter had a vacation, and previous night I had to go to Bombay. Bombay is our default sort of residence. So I was in Bombay. I reached late night and got up late, and I got a call from our director that the police had raided the campus and are looking for you, as if I'm a fugitive, I'm a dreaded criminal. Okay, so so I was surprised, because although I have been critical of the government and all those kinds of things. Uh, Police look at me with jaundice tie, etc. But there is absolutely no wrongdoing, so why should one be afraid? Now, you as an individual, you cannot counter such kind of state machination, right? So thereafter, I continued with my meeting with the one company. And by the time I finished, the phone was on silent. By the time I finished and saw the missed call, there was spate of calls, hundreds of calls. So my wife informs me that our house also was open. Until then, I never imagined that a locked house could be open. We are not well versed with law. That's not my discipline. Yeah. But innocently, I thought that all right, we would deal with that, and they would not go to such an extent to open a locked house. But the TV screens were scrolling that, okay, our house also was raided. What happened was, my senior colleagues were there when a police came here. They forcibly asked this security person to get the keys and got the house open. Our colleagues actually questioned them that where is the search warrant, etc. So he was dismissed, and they requested him to wait for the director. He is on the way, and there you can proceed. Okay, so he was rudely dismissed that we have authority to do anything, and that way they opened the house. Fortunately, they have not done much. They have taken a videographer and photographed the house, etc. So after that, my lawyer friends told me that no, it is not this thing. One of you should go and check the house. They could plant anything, and it is well known. No police doing such kind of things. So my wife takes the next available flight and reaches here. She comes with a lawyer friend, and they look at the house. It appeared that nothing much was touched, because my even hard disk was on the table lying open. Computer of course was with me, so that was not available, that their pawned object. And then they went to Bicholim police station, and for a safety sake they registered a complaint also that such and such thing happened, and if tomorrow police comes out with something, we would not be responsible.
So they did not find anything?
They did not find anything. Obviously, there is nothing. If you go to my house, it's everything. There is nothing actually. We have been roaming around the country. After I left my corporate job, we have been roaming around the country like nomads. IIT Kharagpur suddenly invited me to join their faculty, and gone in 2011. And since then, we had literally, I would say that I went with a suitcase, and they did not let me return because they were not sure that I would come back there again. So just bare minimal kind of things.
So why do you think? What
only
was
the books and books.
Books and books. So what was the exact point you think where they thought of linking you or your writing with the Bhima Koregaon riots? At which point, which article or which statement of yours might have provoked the establishment?
That's very interesting. I must tell you, as regards Bhima Koregaon, I happened to write an article in The Wire at the instance of Siddharth Varadarajan, which was critical about this Bhima Koregaon episode. I said that it actually strengthens the identity obsession of people, and which would be detrimental to long-term interest of Dalit. Dalits do not understand such kind of nuances, and there was a hue and cry. There was so much of an anger expressed all over India, not in Maharashtra, all over India, criticizing me, abusing me, and they linked me with Bhima Koregaon. Right?
So it's an irony of sorts.
It's absolute irony that stands in a public domain. They could check up. Actually, it's a product of poor mind, And what happens is, I never imagined such kind of thing, but the computers, produce anything they want. And to implicate me, the police brandishes the letter supposedly written by some CC member of Maoist party to Comrade Anand. That Anand happens to be me then. Okay, and that is regarding a Paris conference that I attended. The details are okay. That the detail could be linked. Now those all details could be found easily on the website of the university which invited me. University was American University in Paris. Lisa Lincoln was the person who organized the seminar, and right from the later they sought my acceptance to the invitation to the reimbursement of the last bills, the minor bills also of something like taxi in Goa and taxi in Paris. So those kinds of bill reimbursement also is well documented, very fortunately. So this, the nail of the police could be nailed very squarely.
Now, even courts are pronouncing orders on the word Dalit, that the word Dalit should not be used by mass media. How do you look at such kind of interpretations?
See, this is symptomatic of the state of the Dalit movement. Okay, there is so much of an ideological incoherence among Dalits, and it is very symptomatic of that. That some Dalit going to the court and asking that this word should not be used. Now, Dalit is not a word. Dalit is a word, had a specific kind of meaning. It has Sanskrit roots, etc., etc. That is okay, but it's no more a word now. You know, it was in usage first time in Marathi. It was used by Phule in the present context. Okay, and Ambedkar of course picked it up and used it thoroughly. Now there are ignoramuses. They claim that Ambedkar never used. He used when he actually dissolved Independent Labour Party and formed Scheduled Caste Federation. The Marathi word for that was a Dalit Federation, and the Janata paper, which Ambedkar's paper during those days, actually replete with this usage of the word. Okay, so Dalit came to symbolize something like a quasi-class term which assimilated all kinds of people, untouchable castes, no doubt. And when 71, the Dalit Panthers were formed, and before that Dalit literature came to being, they adopted this word. Dalit Panther very formally published their manifesto and redefined the Dalits to include all oppressed and exploited people, sans caste and communities. So this is the expansive term and a potential of really sort of uniting all the oppressed and exploited people in the country. So this is the term, and somebody belonging to the same community praying to the court that this not be used. It's a very unfortunate matter. But and to the extent that he prays for to the court that Dalit not be used in the government matters is a non-issue, because I do not, to the best of my knowledge, I don't think government uses this term anyway in its official communication. But the second prayer, he makes a respondent to Press Council of India and asks for the media also should not be using, and coolly it comes handy for BJP government, which actually tries to homogenize everything. It issues the circular to the media that they also should be refraining from using this word.
It's very unfortunate.
Very unfortunate. The government could appeal to the court that probably this cannot be done, because we cannot direct media what to use and what not to, because asking media is akin to asking people that you, and because BJP has been doing, it comes very handy for them.
Yeah, I have to ask you, in one of your recent speeches, you have compared present India with Nazi Germany. Do you think the raid on your house is more to do with that statement than your writings on Bhima Korega?
There might be so many pieces, rather very critical. Somebody described me as the biggest critic of the biggest critic in India of the present regime. So I don't deny, but it is not a superfluous critique. Everything is very properly referenced and all. I have academic discipline, and I use that. So it is not something like some other commentators using something like wisdom fraught sentences or something. So I never denied. I have been critical. I will continue to be critical of the anti-people and anti-national policies of the governments.
Do you think the situation is so bad that you compare it with Nazi Germany?
Yeah, even people living in Germany also might not have felt that what happened. Only afterward you realize how horrible it was. So it is something like it may not be comparable because history does not repeat in toto. But it is on the same kind of path. Whatever that is happening in India, when you actually block the people from expressing their opinion, block the dissent, that's an end of it. Anything could happen. You know, this is the episode now. The innocent people getting sought to be incarcerated and could be punished and penalty. You understand, Binayak Sen, the case of Binayak Sen, it was similar case where there was nothing. And they went up to punishing him with life imprisonment, and he is fortunately on bail with the intervention of Supreme Court. Sai Baba, it's the same case. There is no iota of any evidence that they could produce, but they have been all punished with life imprisonment. So what is this? This is what exactly happened in Gulag.
So, but why do you think there is a sudden rise of far-right politics across the world? The world used to be very aspirational, the world used to be very open-minded, and the same world in recent past has turned towards the far-right politics, and including the recent election results in Sweden, where again a far-right party has emerged as a powerful force. So what's the reason?
This has something got to do with the entire movement of the world. When this neoliberalism was invented as a counter to the welfare states, right from there, this trend has started. You can discern it in India also and anywhere else, and no corner of the world has really escaped it. And so what is shaping it is something like technological development, because the kind of system they have now brought in or proposed, the pre-market economy, etc., are not sustainable as a matter of fact. So now there is such a scenario created, something like a jobless growth. You know, now these technologies are taking turn, you know, right from the advent of information technology, and it has given rise to such kinds of technologies as big data analytics. It is going to be, it is said to be a fourth paradigm in science, and it is going to be transforming world beyond recognition. Now what does it mean, all these artificial intelligence paradigm, etc.? People do not really adequately understand the implications of it. So theoretically there would not be any jobs possible, and everywhere these kinds of crises is unleashed on the common people. And the states which are in saddle, they have to now manage this situation, and they can only manage with something like a dictatorial posture, right-wing posturing. So this is the broad kinds of mechanism with which the world is sort of.
And can you correlate the same theory with the decline of the left and far left?
Of course, this is actually the same. There have been many mistakes according to me, and I have been very critical of the left. There is another book that I have written, again that is very interesting for you. I had written about 70-80 pages introduction when the Ambedkar's India and Communism was to be published by Leftward, the CPM's publication. So that time they asked me to write an introduction. I wrote a very longish introduction, and the title something like Bridging Unholy Rift. Okay, so it is very critical of something like left, And again, there that also comes handy, you know, in this police
Yes.
framework to establish the lie. Anyway, that is not the issue. Issue is that left have committed really many mistakes, and and that combined with this kind of right wing, because in the backdrop of that only the right wing could thrive. So left could be possibly taken as responsible for the advent of neoliberalism itself. If left had conducted well, these kinds of things would not have really risen.
So, what is the reason why a liberal thought is not getting propagated or getting alienated in the society? Is it an absence of a convincing narrative, or is it an absence of a convincing icon?
If you take America as the leader of this kind of thing, in America you would know that liberal becomes a left.
Correct.
They equate liberal
Yeah.
with the left. So liberalism has a seeds of rebellion. Okay, everything actually emerged from liberal thought.
You question.
Yeah, you question.
You
There
question,
is there is a
yeah.
space liberalism
Yes.
provides, and that's what the actually term means. So these are the fertile grounds for the rebellions to emerge. so that basically has to be firstly marginalized. So all these liberal kind of dictum etc. needs to be marginalized. Then only you can make a statement. So they will actually take on the faces liberalism. They will mold their narratives etc. in liberal frame etc. But basically they do not want liberalism.
Or is it an absence of an icon? Is it an absence of a leader who can actually bear the weight on his shoulders and go ahead and propagate the cause? If you look at the world scenario, not only India scenario, you will see many powerful leaders, very alpha males, who are propagating the far right idea, who are even playing with the constitutional framework and electorally doing very well. You don't see so many characters, you don't see so many heroes trying to do the same with a liberal thought or a liberal ideology. Is it that absence of an icon or an absence of a leader that is the failure in propagating the thought amongst masses?
Difficult question to ask. It's very interesting, I must say, but I would not jump on to very precise answer, but a very approximate answer could be that this framework of electoral politics is quite sensitive to the propaganda. So it's a function of something like a resources etc. So the dominant forces today being the right wing, so they could sort of make their point very forcibly. It's not to say that there are no movements or people who think otherwise. This liberal icon that you're referring to probably is a function of propaganda, because they do not come up that forcefully. Now this is a globalized world that we live, and a globalized world there is a huge role that media plays in terms of reach. Okay, so all these movements actually get marginalized and get confined to a pockets. So there are millions of such kind of what you call mutinies in a way, and they have irrespective leaders, but they would never come up because they are not in tune with the dominant forces, and we do not see as a result any dominating icon.
On a similar fashion, we are in an election year. And the country will go for elections. There will be an opportunity to choose a new government. Do you think the present talk about having a Mahagathbandhan or the alliance of all the opposition parties can beat that propaganda machine?
In Indian context, yes. In Indian context, yes. But there are no signs yet that happening. because all the opposition parties, the kind of strength BJP acquired during these last 4-5 years is mind-boggling. They are the richest party in Asia. They are the biggest party in the world. They have sort of hegemonized institutions. Huh? So it's a tremendous power with them, and that can only be countered by all the opposition coming together. It stands to simple logic. All said and done, Modi had just 31% votes. So 69% votes are either indifferent or opposed to him.
Can this opposition unity swing an election without a charismatic leader?
Yeah, I think it is not that a face is required for something like an opposition or winning an election. See, we in a business do something like a business strategy. So there are n number of alternatives. There are n number of alternatives to strategize. Now, when Rahul Gandhi just poses himself as the counter to Modi and flaunts his Hindutva and Janua, that's not the way. That's not the way. That's very unfortunate thing that he does. You have to, in any strategy, you have to understand your strengths and weaknesses. Okay, so maybe that your enemy, whatever the strength he has, you don't have to counter with your and claim that thing. You may not have that, but there are other ways to sort of do it. So rather, if all the opposition comes together, they can make a very formidable front and post.
Do you think Rahul Gandhi has it in him to take on this mighty election propaganda machine of the Bharatiya Janata Party?
I would say whether something is there in a person or not, that's not a matter. But as a leader of a major party, he is committing mistakes after mistakes. That is for sure. This is not the way to strategize the opposition to the dominant force like BJP. It's a bulldozing force, and a very formidable opposition needs to be carved out. Actually, we get fixated with certain kinds of ideas, but even the all opposition coming together can be very convincing thing to the public that we are all together. There may not be a single force, and Indian democracy does not envisage that some hero comes up and actually usurps all the powers in democracy. So that is antithetical to our constitution and democracy, as a matter of fact.
Absolutely. Sir, pleasure talking to you. It's not only ideologies but the reality of the raid. Thank you.
Thank you so much.